Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thrive Thursday. I'm Jill Backey. I'm here with Judy Dano and Lori Kuhn today, and we want to talk about an article that went out this morning. Hopefully you got it in your inbox. It's called, What Do You Want? What do you really, really want? Judy's our author from this week and put out a really great article about desire and finding some of that childlike wonder. Judy, can you give us a little overview of the message and some of the inspiration behind it?
Yeah. So the reason why I started writing this, or wrote this week in particular, was I was having a conversation at home with some of my family members about gift giving, and literally all of us, every single person was like, I so much would rather give a gift than receive a gift. And it got me thinking again, about, receiving. Like, we really can't give, unless somebody's going and to be open to receiving. And so I feel like we're really bad at receiving sometimes. It's like, wow, that's such a hard, it feels awkward and people don't really know how to do it, and it just feels, and so I guess I just started exploring it and started thinking about it in terms of, how I powerfully use those questions. What do I want, and what do I really, really want? How do I use that in my life currently? It stemmed again from like this thought that I should be better at receiving than I am, or there's kind of a practice in it, and where did I lose that in my life? And I had explored, I had kind of remembered that there was a time in my life where I had not even been able to ask or to answer the question, what do I want? It was really a tough question. And I know, as coaches, we have a lot of clients when we ask, well, what do you want? They cannot answer that question because they've never explored it. And so I thought it would be a really cool article, especially this time of year, to talk about, if there is giving in the world, then there has to be receiving, and how can we do receiving better?
Right. And receiving from a place of joy and overflow, not from that place of deficit, like, well, I need this thing, and therefore I'm receiving. But it brings up such an interesting internal conversation for me around the concepts of greed and around that concept of generosity. And we stop wanting things because, and you even point this out in the article, there comes this point in time where we feel shameful for wanting things. So it's a really interesting internal conversation to have with yourself that, all right, you're setting these intentions, you're setting these goals, and yet there might be a shame response in being open to receive the things that you're wanting, or even the act of wanting.
Right, absolutely.
Or it might, and another thing you mentioned in the article, it might feel selfish to some people, because I know, way back when, I was the same way. I loved to give. I wanted to give all the time, and then I felt a little awkward receiving. And so it's just getting past that and realizing, if you love, and the way I shifted it for me was, I love to give so much, but I wouldn't be able to if there wasn't someone there receiving it.
Absolutely.
So then that was my awareness of, I have to be willing to receive so that other people can experience that joy in giving.
Exactly.
And if the person receiving my gift feels shameful for receiving it, man, my message is offline.
Right.
And so we're part of that cycle. And I think it's really interesting because we share all the time about human internal operating systems, and one of the built-in components of humans is desire. And so at this time of giving, when we're thinking about, the hustle and bustle and a lot of the traditions of the holidays and how wrapped up we get in the task list and all of these shoulds and the pressures of it, what happens to that element of desire, and how are we managing that part of our HIOS during this busy giving season? I mean, we call it the giving season. It's half of the equation.
And so I like where you went with that. And in the article, I talk about how one day I wake up recently. This happened recently, and so how I actually use this questioning to help me navigate life a little bit differently, a little bit more authentically. And when I start playing, when I realized that I was playing so much in the shoulds, or what other people, the other expectations of people of me, and I was doing it because I was a mother, and I was a wife, and I was and I was a business partner, and whatever it happened to be, I was these things, or an employee, or and so to be able to step back and take the pause and go, whoa, wait a second. Am I operating from a place that makes sense for me and then also for others? And so the other day I was in bed and I woke up and I was reeling through the stories about the tasks that I had to do for the day. And I kept, playing in these horrible stories about how horrible it was going to be. And I literally took myself, and that's really not a normal place for me to be. So it was kind of funny that it happened. But I actually, then I said, whoa, wait a second. I need to have another question here. I need to figure out what it is that I truly want. And so I do actually practice this on a daily basis. I actually will say, if I'm feeling angst about something, if I start asking myself the question, what do I want? Like, what do I really, really want? So what do I want? So it starts there, and I kind of landed on, well, I do want to get my tasks done. It's not that I don't want to get my tasks done. I'm just feeling anxious about it and overwhelmed. But I want to get them done. And then I went, whoa, wait a second, but what do I really, really want? And when I asked myself that deeper question, I was like, oh, this is what I want. I want to enjoy doing my task, and I want to do it with somebody that is going to enjoy doing it with me. And so when I dug into the deeper part of it, I created an and it totally shifted my whole experience on, wow, I'm going to go and do these tasks. I'm actually going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be able to do it with somebody that I want. And of course, once I got clear on that, then I was able to experience that. And so I was able to move through my day and reach out and have some conversations around how I actually wanted to do it, and I ended up doing it.
I love what you bring up around sort of these multiple layers of want. I want to check off the boxes on my to-do list, or I want to really just lay in bed, or I want to have a day off. But if you really, what do you really, really want? It's, I really want rest. I really want joy. I really want to not feel overwhelmed. I want to feel in control.
Yes.
I want to feel manageable.
Exactly.
And so it's fun to play in that space of, it's not just, I want a new bathrobe, it's, I want comfort and joy. And when we get at the essence of the things that we're wanting, really allows us to give and receive in such a more graceful way.
Exactly. And one of the things we do at Thrive is to go into the why. What, and that oftentimes helps you dig a little deeper. Is why do I want this? Why am I wanting to experience it this way? Or, just kind of like you were saying, Jill, unraveling that next layer and getting at the essence of why you want to feel that way.
Right. Well, and I think the other part of it, and if you want a bathrobe, want a bathrobe. Like, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting the physical side of life as well. And, it's not greedy to want things. There is an underlying essence to it, and it feels better to understand that essence, but that doesn't mean that the thing that you're desiring or craving is wrong or broken or greedy or unnecessary. And I think that cycle of desire and moving toward desire and feeling through life in that way is really, really important. And if we cut off, no, you can't have the material things, you can only have the esoteric things, well, we're cutting off a part of the human experience. We're human and spiritual. So yes, want the spiritual things, and it's okay, want the physical things, and figure out why you're wanting them and explore them deeper and be open to receiving them from wherever they come from.
Yeah, and you're cutting off that muscle too, because if you're cutting off receiving material things, you're not exercising your muscle to receive anything.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I actually, in the first draft of my article, I had written that my muscle, my desire muscle had atrophied. It was like, when somebody said, well, which restaurant do you want to go to? I couldn't even answer that question, because I was so used to deferring to what everybody else wanted. Oh, no, it's fine, and we can go wherever you want, and then nobody was making a decision, because nobody's desire muscle was really strong.
And you do stop wanting. It is something that you can cut off.
And allowing, too. You stop allowing.
Right.
And then again, to bring it back to the original point, when you cut off that desire, you cut off the people you love from being able to gift to you in a meaningful way.
And I think I don't know that you actually used this word, but I think you indicated, the balance of it. I think that, so it's not the going, I think what we're talking about, or where it really makes sense for me, is the balancing point of it. So it's not all of the giving, which is where a lot of people play, or all of the receiving, which is where other people play, and it's bringing it in and understanding understanding the balance of it and the beauty in the balance of it, and how important both sides of the equation are.
Yeah, and I feel really inspired to just also throw on that topic of balance that everything is energy, right? So if somebody gives a gift and there is a financial tag to that gift, that doesn't mean that we can't receive that energy from the same level playing field. So you might have the financial resources to gift me a really expensive holiday gift, and I might have the financial resources to gift you an afternoon of baking cookies. And that is an absolute equal exchange, and coming to terms with that within our own energy fields, that we don't have to gift from a financial place, and we don't have to only receive from a financial place. This is a much bigger conversation than money, and remembering that we share love openly, and we share generosity in different ways, and money is just such a small component of this giving and receiving and desiring recipe.
Well, you bring up, and this could go on forever, so I'm just gonna touch on it, but you bring up the really good point about love. You know, it's sometimes very hard for people to receive love. Just you know, it's easier for them to give love, and very hard for them to receive love, or vice versa.
And sometimes hard for us to want it.
Exactly.
Or compliments or anything.
Right. Absolutely. Exactly. So so it's much broader, it's much bigger, it's easier to tell it in a story that is very, understandable on the level that it is, but it's so much bigger and broader.
But I like that you broke it down to what you want, because as you start exercising what you want and allowing what you want, you start allowing all the other things too, the love, the compliments.
Exactly.
It all goes along with learning how to allow.
Yes.
And so, and learning to know what you want and how you receive things.
Right.
I mean, it's all about knowing yourself, really.
Beautiful. So, key takeaway, Judy, you want to leave us with one key nugget as people are heading off into this busy weekend?
Yeah, so I'm going to put it out there as a practice. For me, this is literally a practice. I've been practicing this in my life for a little while now, and I use it to actually navigate my life. And so practicing asking yourself that question and really digging into it, and making sure that when you step into your day or any situation, I do it like in real time also, but it is a practice, and be okay with yourself. It's okay that you maybe don't know how to do this right away, and you will eventually, the more you practice it, get better at it.
Love that. Laura, you have a key takeaway?
My key takeaway, I always revert to questioning. When I'm experiencing something I don't want, or I want to experience something differently, I just go into what do I want? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I want to experience this? Yeah. So it all boils down to powerful questions.
Beautiful. And I think for me, it comes down to, again, normalizing desire. You want stuff. And if you can't sort of relate to that feeling of wanting more in your life, then that's a beautiful place to ask yourself some questions of what has cut that off from you, and what does that mean for your ability to be generous if you can't be on the receiving end of that, and kind of cutting off that blood supply that runs in that cycle of giving and receiving.
Yeah. I think what's really cool too, I'm just going to mention this real quickly, is the wanting less. Like sometimes we talk about wanting more, and sometimes the want or the desire is wanting less. Just throwing that out there for anybody that's feeling that.
Yeah. So. But again, and you bring up a really great point. This is so personal. So play with it within yourself, and just explore with it within your operating system. How is that component of desire playing along? And if you have a desire to be generous and to be a gifter, if that's part of your natural thing, then what is the reciprocity of that? And what is, and I don't want to say obligation, but what's our obligation to be a receiver as well as a gifter? So it's a fun conversation to have. So thank you for the great article.
Yes,
thank you both for a great conversation. We would love to hear from you. What are you giving and receiving this holiday season? And jump in the conversation, throw us a comment, send us an email, give us a call. We would love to continue having this conversation with you and practice with you as you exercise that desire muscle and get clear on what it is that you want. So happy holidays. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.